Hello everyone, my name is Nathan, and today it's time for another episode of Factorio here in our step-by-step to Megabase series. In the previous episode we sorted out a few things and fixed certain bottlenecks, so now we are producing at a decent rate, the rate we want to. If we check the past minute or so, we can see the current consumption rate of our science packs is at 60 per minute, which is exactly what we wanted to see. And so as of this point, it's now all about planning out the Megabase. We are almost done with the atomic bomb research, which is the very last research we had to do. And just like that, we're completely through the entirety of the tech tree. The rest of the technologies are just infinite technologies in order to improve various systems. But the most important part now, we are also gonna consume the space science packs, and I would say we're gonna improve the worker robot speed right away. This is one of the most important things to me, apart from mining productivity and probably also energy weapon damage. So without any further ado, let's get this started. And what I also would like to do is maybe choose a point where we're gonna start our Megabase. The starter base right here eventually will be taken apart, but I think I want to start the Megabase far enough away, maybe right here, so that we have the possibility to set something up before we actually have to take apart the Megabase because it's in the way. I think I want to get things started approximately here, so let's set up a grid. Let me see, those would be grids without a radar. Then we have two grids with a radar over here. Okay, I would say we're gonna get started in one of these blocks right here, and I'm kind of gonna use them as a guidance where I can build my stuff. For instance, the rails. I want to have them 2 away from the first electric pole. And now we're just gonna drag this over until we reach the other side of the pole. I'm then gonna set up a station right here at the very end, I think. And then I want to have another station far enough away just so that the next train is gonna stop where the other pole is. So I would have to put this approximately here. We have the space for 4 wagons and it reaches until this pole. Whoops, now actually thinking about it, this isn't supposed to be another station, it's just supposed to be a waiting block. So I'm gonna have a rail signal right there for the train to stop there while there's still a train inside the station. Next up, we need a bunch of stack inserters. I'm gonna go for 4 inserters per wagon, but we're gonna arrange it a little bit more efficiently than the previous time. It's still gonna go into a bunch of steel chests, and it will be brought out with another set of inserters. Did I just misplace them? I think I did. Good, now let's grab some big power poles, and in between each sets of wagons we're gonna have one of these poles. Also set up a bunch of lamps. I just want to have everything ready for this station. So this one here should be perfect as it will be, you know, a permanent design. Let's now go ahead and combine 2 stack inserters onto one belt so we get the materials evenly. So now all the materials will be meeting on one belt, and I guess what we could do... Oh, let me think. I have an idea. We now have all of this space ready. This could actually become very interesting. What if we used a splitter or merger here to get the first 2 lines together? We can do the same thing right here for the next 2 lines. They're going to be merged together, and then one of the lines is going to come out and meet up with the first output of the other 2 belts. Then we can do the same thing right here, get these belts connected, and this one here would continue. And last but not least, we can do the same thing right there. Hook this one up and this one would continue. Let's see where we can set up the next rail. This is actually kind of perfect. So we would have a secondary station right here, and now have all of this space to distribute the lines and this space here to set up more stations. So basically, I'm not sure if I even mentioned it, but we're gonna try to come up with a station design that is gonna be universal across all of our stations, worth exactly 4 blue belts, and we can use them with any material we like that can be transported on belts. This first station is probably gonna be dedicated to delivering ore and smelting it up. Also with the station, we want to enable train limit 2. I'm already gonna set this up. Everything I can set up within the blueprint, I would like to have set up. Now let's bring this all the way down here. Yeah, that looks about right. And this is now just gonna continue all the way over, make space for more lines. Just like with the rails, I would like to have 2 spaces away from the power poles, and then the third space is gonna be the one that I'm using. So this line would come all the way over here. So in the end, it would look something like this. And of course, these belts can then continue over to the next row. Good. Now, theoretically, I should be able to grab all of this, including the rail signal, and then we're just gonna copy it over to the next line. And we can do this a couple of times. Let's repeat it at least 5 times for the time being. Of course, I don't quite have the materials to finish this, and also sometimes the power isn't connected. So I think I'm gonna add an additional pole here in between that is gonna connect all the stations. Good, and then all we have to do is kind of complete the rails, and we want them to continue until we meet with the previous conveyor belts. So we would end up with something like that, and they will just keep going. Then I guess we might be able to speed this up by copying over certain things. Like I need another 4 to connect these up. Yeah, looks about right. So now we already got 12 lines, not too shabby. Let's add another 4 here. And just like that, we now have 20 lines at the ready. That is pretty darn good, I have to say. Let's go ahead and grab some materials from the base. Worker robot speed 6 finished. Very, very nice. I like it. Mining productivity is now already gonna take 2,500. Let's maybe go for the packs with only 1,000. So start researching that. And I guess as of this point, we will be interested in actually launching the rocket, at least on a regular basis. Actually, maybe not. I think I'm gonna add a little security measure here. So if I add a storage bin here, then I can first fill up this one. I can then use a wire to connect these guys, and I'm gonna tell this one here to only be active if we detect fewer than, let's say, 1,000 or so. Right now it detects 62 in there, so the stack inserter is enabled. And I think I'm just gonna chain the signal right here, because thinking about it, we don't even need to disable the stack inserter. We only need to disable the other inserters. So could I theoretically copy this over? Yeah, look at that. Now all of them have the same condition, and I can undo the connection to the stack inserter. Now it's going from the chest directly to all of the other inserters, and they will disable. Okay, that means now I can go ahead and auto launch with cargo, and it will automatically do it, provided I don't already have too many science packs in the chest. Farewell! We should actually be able to witness this, because soon enough we're gonna have the 1,000 packs, and then these guys will be disabled. We are at 900 packs. Come on, come on, come on. Show me the money. Oh, yeah, they just disabled there on the spot. Wonderful. That means I can now replace this guy here with a stack inserter as well, and we should be absolutely golden. Okay, so far so good. I managed to get 8 lines in the joint, which is a pretty great number. I also made a little addition of a 4-lane balancer, and wherever I could go a full underground belt's worth of distance, I also made sure to do that. And this is how we came up with this design. However, in the future, I would like my factory to build these designs automatically, so I can basically just plop these blueprints down and I can go elsewhere while the factory is taking care of it. And the only way we can properly do this is with a bunch of roboports. Now, with this design, there's actually a way to plop down the roboports so that you can cover the entirety of the area with the orange bit that is responsible for the logistics. Technically, for most of our designs, we're only gonna be needing the green axis area, which is much larger, the building range. But just to be clear, we have these two options. Either we build them in the center of the tiles. So if we do this on the other side, it's going to be absolutely perfectly covering the entirety of this square. So I can just have these like so, and they're all going to connect together. And now everything is covered with the logistics network. However, this is not strictly necessary for most of the designs that I have, and I rather have the space in the center than a roboport. So for specific areas, I would say instead of building them inside, we're gonna build them all the way around. Another research done, stronger explosives. Let's go for, let me see, laser damage now. Yeah, I think we can make use of that. Either way, I want to do the same exact thing here on the other side, have that right in the center, and then if I place these guys correctly, then we should have a perfect center here as well. And I did not do it perfectly because I have some leeway. So maybe let's come up with a way to judge the center. I'm just building a bunch of belts all the way around, and now I know, yeah, this is a little bit too high. So this one here was wrong. Now I can just also copy the power poles here, and we're gonna build this in each corner. And now that I built it correctly, there should be a perfect center where we have both of the lines, just like that. Perfect. I'm gonna do this on the other side as well. We do want the dashed line there because it indicates that all of these roboports are connected together and the robots can go from one to the next. Now this is gonna ensure that I could in the future build all of this using the construction robots inside the factory and not the ones in my inventory. Now there's only one little issue right here. This roboport is of course in the way, but considering this is the fourth line, yeah, this is actually perfect because we have a little bit of space here on the top. We haven't quite used up all the space. That means we could have like a division here in the center. So I'm just gonna grab all of this and we're gonna build it a little bit further up. Right here would already be good, because then we have those two spaces before the power pole and we have the same spacing at the bottom, and then the trains can just go past the roboport. I love it. Something else I realized now is it would be better to have the train stops one further back, so I can actually have my power poles at the ready. So if I build this one further back, we would have to move everything one further back, but I think that wouldn't be an issue with the robots. I think this shouldn't be too dramatic. We just cut this out, okay? And then paste it a little bit further to the right. Yeah, I don't see how this can become any issue at all. And this way I will also be able to replace my power poles. Okay, very nice. Looks like we did it. Now there's just one correction I would like to make because I'm a little bit OP about this. This is a important design. It's very important that we take ourselves the time to think about all aspects before we blueprint it. For instance, this chain signal now comes a little bit closer to the power pole than I would like to. So what I'm gonna do is also move it one block over so that the train holds two spaces away from the power pole. I know, this is a little bit insane, but what can you do? Lastly, I gotta make sure we have some power here with these roboports. Very nice, the roboports are active. I'm just missing two more roboports on the top and the bottom. I first thought I don't need them, but then the left and the right side wouldn't be connected. Though I'm not 100% sure how it works. What if a robot comes from this side, goes into the green side? Couldn't it also go to the other side? I don't think so, because the roboports kind of need to be connected. What is the next thing on our agenda? We already have this set to enable train limit by 2 because we have 2 spaces for the trains to wait at. But I feel like some logic is missing here as well. What if we only wanted to enable the train station when it is really necessary? And in order to do that, I'm just gonna hook up all of these chests to the train station itself. So if we copy this over to all the chests like so, and then we already have this menu. Check this out. We have quite a few possibilities. This is actually very nice, but we might just want to enable or disable it. Yeah, set this to enable disable and not send the train. Now, assuming this is going to be our iron ore production, let's just go ahead and assume that iron ore would be incoming, and as soon as I have fewer than, let's say, 10,000, I don't even know yet what is realistic. I'm just gonna set this to 10,000 for the time being. If we are below that, then we wanna enable the train, which at the moment it should be enabled. Yeah, indeed, there is a green light right there. And then the trains will be allowed in here. Now we would also have to change the name of the station, and I'm gonna name this U for unload, and then we're gonna call it iron ore. So it's gonna be a separate network from our starter base, a completely new setup that we're gonna go for. And now I guess I can just copy this over to all the stations. So this would be the first array of iron smelting. We have 8 train stations with a total of 32 blue belts. It's time to whip out the calculator. We can have 45 items per second on a blue belt times 32. That would be 1,440 iron ore per second that we can ship. Times that 60, so that's 86,400 items per minute. I would say this is probably a good starting point. We're gonna need several of these stations, but the idea is that we have an extensive train network and a bunch of modules. One module, such as this one, is gonna be responsible to smelt up all the ingredients that we need. So the idea is now to smelt up each of these lines and then bring them back on a train where it can be shipped to a different module, such as a science pack module or whatever. But we're going to be thinking quite big initially and then just start to slowly introduce everything. Also, that reminds me, we should copy over the logic. Yeah, if I just go ahead and copy over this part, for instance, I should be able to get these wires built instantly, and that is actually the case, so I don't have to do it for each one. Is there anything else I forgot about? Not so sure. Let me go ahead and set up a couple of recipes in the base. It would actually be nice to gain access to beacons, for instance. We're going to be needing those quite a bit. And am I already crafting the electric furnaces? I sure hope so. I'm not even sure. Right now, I'm not ordering them, so that is a bad sign. It looks like I had my first train congestion, and that was because of a wrong signal right here. I had a signal that was kind of halting the trains. So that means we were now actually lacking quite a few materials for a substantial amount of time, which slowed down our production. But yeah, this first train network was kind of a mess either way. Let's go ahead and get a little refill and then also add the beacon to our crafting chain here. Steel, copper cables, and then 2 types of circuits. We already have the steel and 1 type of circuit, so that's easy. We're gonna be needing quite a few beacons and they can only stack up to 10, so it's important we leave enough space for it inside the chest. And there we go, it starts crafting. It actually requires 20 advanced circuits. That is quite expensive. In the meantime, we have crafted a few more accumulators and holy cow, okay, it's actually a bit more than I anticipated. But yeah, obviously our goal is to keep on expanding this as much as we can. More accumulators for Papa, thank you very much. And of course, trusty solar panels too. We now have the possibility to produce 321 megawatts, and of course that also had an influence on our steam power system. It isn't quite in as much demand. So we're now clearly not using up an entire belt, so it is resource friendly. Solar panels and accumulators are just absolutely amazing. Once you place them, they are free energy, no, even risk-free power production. Gonna fill up the rest of my belts, and this should probably be enough in order to complete the building project here. Ooh, let me build those roboports first. As a matter of fact, we might want to add the roboport here as well to our construction menu. Let me see, roboport recipe. And now this is actually just outside the reach of my logistic system. I did not notice that. So we might want to go ahead and actually add that to the other side here. Roboports, we're also gonna keep an entire row of stacks. Maybe copy this over, and yeah, that is just way too much. That's why I don't like to copy over the recipes. Now I have so many ingredients in here that I don't really need. However, it's still gonna be worth it since I'm gonna be getting roboports, and that is also something we can now order. I, for instance, would like to always have a stack of roboports. Good, now it's time to make my way back and complete the build. The only thing I'm not so happy with is how we are actually powering up these other roboports. I wonder if I could have like this smack in the center. No, this also gives weird connections. Let me see. I might be able to get rid of one connection. Wasn't there a way to do that? Oh, shift and left click actually eliminated all the connections. Ah, wait, of course, I remember. I just need a bit of copper cable, and now I can decide where this is connecting to, and I can make a connection that actually makes sense. Okay, nice. So I'm gonna do the same thing here on the other side. Cannot stand how this looks. You would be going right there, disable the connections, and then establish them myself. You go here, you go there. Wonderful. Nice, this is actually looking fairly acceptable. One more thing that's kind of missing is the concrete. What if we made this a little bit bigger with plus? So that's 4, 6, and that would be 8 tiles, so it goes smack in the center. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with a 4 thick path. Let's make sure to build a blueprint out of this, so I can just keep on building, and then we can make a nice pathway all the way around. Okay, with this division, it's already looking much better. I'm now going back, and inside the camp here, I would like to add 2 more recipes, and one is gonna be for the stone bricks. We have that over here, the concrete, and then another one for the refined concrete. So let me just set this up, and I'm gonna meet you right back when we are making this even more beautiful. Okay, now there are a few more things to do. First and foremost, I'm now using my Spidertron in order to carry around some stuff that I don't want to carry in my own inventory. And we're gonna order those things right here. So for instance, let's say we want to collect a little bit of concrete here, and we're gonna go with about 10 stacks to infinite, and we're gonna do the same thing with refined concrete. Request all of this for my Spidertron. This should fill up my inventory quite nicely with the stuff we're producing right here. I noticed we already had the concrete recipe, so I collected quite a bit of that. And to be quite honest with you, I don't even want to limit this because we're gonna need quite a bit of it, and I just want to keep on producing it. Now, because my crafting system isn't a dedicated system, currently we are lacking quite a few materials that are not incoming quite as frequently, such as the gears. We're borrowing everything from other systems right now. Either way, let's make our way back. We're not going to be able to fully complete it just yet, but I noticed something curious, namely the roboports here diagonally are connected. This means we don't even need the outer ones. The ones on the edges become completely obsolete. So I think we should take advantage of that. So if I remove that, we can see the building area is still all over the place, so the green spots. And then the roboports are still connected together, so this still counts. And we can save on a bunch of roboports that are unnecessary. I also completed the path, as you can see, and on the outside I made a layer of refined concrete that we can build right now. So the pathway is a little bit distinguished. And you know, everything looks a little bit more complete. Also, I'm now going to use my landfill to slowly cover this area here. I want to make sure this entire lake is covered by the time we require the space. Wonderful. This is totally going to work. Now, we only have to consider one more thing, and that is where are we going to connect this to our main rail system? Like, it would be really nice, for instance, to dedicate one of these blocks, one of these entire rows to the rail system. If we go ahead and kind of try to make this happen, let's say we meet all down here. Now, are we gonna use the same rails? Are we gonna have a 4-lane system? Probably. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna need a little bit of space. So nature will have to go out of this city block area. So these two rails here would be smack in the center. Let's say we want a little bit of space. So we have these two center rails instead. And then we leave some more space for the outer rails. So let's imagine this is our 4-lane system. Then the question would be, is it going to be easy to switch from one system to the other? Yes, so that is just enough space so I can switch from one rail to the other. And that means we would bring this all the way down here in order to meet up with this rail. That means trains on the main system right here would be taking this route, or they would be forced to switch the rails first. Let's say we start this endeavor 2 spaces away from the power poles, and then we first go up and over. Now, if I want to stick true to my conventions, I would have to make it right here. This is better. Let me get rid of that. Make sure this is built 2 spaces away from the rail, and then we make the curve and connect all of these together. So I could also just take that and build it 1 more block over. Yes, I kind of like that. And then, of course, on the other side, the same thing would happen. The trains are just gonna continue. And as of this point, we wanna make our way down. I'm gonna keep going with my rails. I would like to see those just keep going straight from module to module. Now, let me try to get rid of some of that delicate nature. In squares such as this, where we only have the straight lines and no stations, we can then also make an intersection, either a 4-way intersection or a T-intersection. So we would have the possibility to go down here unless we decide to build something else downstairs. However, the trains coming back or going out of the stations that need to go back on the system, they should be forced to go to the center lines. Imagine we just build this out a little bit like so. That means I could come down here, and all I want to see is it connecting to the inner rail to go into the right direction, and the inner rail also to go to the left. So I will probably have to make this curve right here. Yeah. And now the trains would be properly forced on the inside rails, and the outside rails are only going to be utilized by the trains that actually need it. In this case, I would say we can go ahead and finish the rail here, just making sure that all of these guys are properly connected together. Maybe get rid of the cliffs in the process. And the last one goes here. So I'm guessing we're not going to be needing the upper portion there. Now I'm just going to do this for the exit path as well. Once we build it, we also need to make sure to signal it. Wonderful. Looks like I was able to complete the rails. I do not have enough refined concrete just yet, but we'll have to produce that en masse either way. I don't think my system is going to suffice for the entirety of the base. But now we need to knock ourselves step by step to the mega base, and as soon as we have the basic ingredients ready, such as iron ore, other ores, a little bit of oil refinement and stuff like that, we should be able to build a huge crafting system that will then supply the rest of the building phases. So right now the signaling here isn't working properly, so let's make sure we set up a rail signal after each intersection here, and then do the same thing right here. Then we can switch to chain signals. One should be located there. We can continue this, another chain signal here and there. And then of course we can have a rail signal like right there. This should be enough space for the entire train to fit. Not forget a rail signal right there. And then I guess we'll have to divide these guys. For instance, we can have another rail signal here. I'm gonna try to keep this uniform so we have all the signaling the same. Actually, that reminds me, we also need the possibility to come from the other direction, right? So we'll have to continue going down here and then connecting with the inner rail there. Let me get rid of that and connect it with you. So now also trains coming from this direction will have the possibility to move up. Well, you know what? Right now, I think I'm just gonna remove all the signaling because it could become a little bit more complicated than that, and I might just dedicate one episode to how we're gonna signal this exactly. It might be a good idea to just get this hooked up for now, and I think we can leave the signaling be here because this is more or less clear. I think all we have to change here is add a signal so the trains actually keep on moving once one train passed this line, and then we're just gonna do this for each intersection. On the other side, the same thing, a chain signal in front of each intersection and then a rail signal coming out of these intersections. Very nice, I have to say, I like this so far. We made the preparations to smelt up 32 blue belts, 1440 items, that's the resolution of my screen. So this seems all perfect. In the next episode, we should come up with a beacon design in order to smelt up one of these blue belts, and then we need to build this 32 times. And then of course the next step would be to make a loading station for everything, so afterwards we can ship those materials somewhere else. But with that out of the way, I would say we're gonna wrap it up for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching, have a great time, and hopefully I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Bye bye.